My trainer husband was sleeping with his client, so I trained myself to ruin him. I used to think the worst thing my husband could do was leave me for someone younger, fitter, prettier. That was before I realized he was already gone. The worst thing he could do was stay, smile at me over breakfast, kiss me goodbye, and spend his days building a life with someone else using the very ideas I'd poured my soul into creating. I was his silent partner, his strategist, the architect of his success. He was the face. I was the brain. And for 3 years, I convinced myself that was enough. Then I found the messages. Then I saw the photos. Then I understood that while I was working nights to build his brand, he was spending those nights with her. The betrayal wasn't just in his heart. It was in his bank account, his reputation, his entire empire. An empire I built. And now I'm going to take it apart, brick by brick. I met Damien in a cramped, sweat-scented gym in a strip mall that had seen better decades. He was a personal trainer with a dream. And I was a marketing specialist who'd just been laid off from a corporate job I hated. He had passion. I had strategy. We were a perfect match. Within 2 years, we had transformed that grimy corner into a boutique fitness studio with a waiting list. Within 3, we had launched an online platform, a merchandise line, and a social media presence that made other trainers envious. His face was everywhere. His abs, his smile, his inspirational quotes plastered across Instagram and Facebook. His success. Mine. I was the one who designed the workout programs. I was the one who created the meal plans, wrote the blog posts, managed the email lists, and responded to the thousands of DMs from followers who adored him. I was the one who stayed up until 2 a.m. editing videos so his content would be perfect. I was the one who handled the taxes, the payroll, the client disputes, and the endless parade of administrative nightmares that he never had to think about. His job was to show up, look good, and be charming. My job was to make sure he had something to show up for. I didn't resent it, not at first. I loved him. I believed in him. And somewhere along the way, I convinced myself that our partnership was a team effort. He was the front man, I was the engine. That's how bands worked, right? That's how marriages worked. The cracks started appearing around our 4th anniversary. He became distant, secretive with his phone, dismissive of my suggestions. He'd come home late, smelling of expensive perfume that wasn't mine, and offer explanations that were just elaborate enough to sound plausible. I wanted to believe him. I wanted to trust him. I wanted to be the kind of wife who didn't interrogate her husband about a late night at the gym. So I ignored the whispers in my head. I swallowed the unease. I told myself it was stress. The pressure of success, the weight of building an empire. Then I found the messages. It was a Tuesday. I was updating our website, a routine task I'd performed 100 times before. He'd left his laptop open on the kitchen counter, the screen glowing softly. A notification popped up. A message from a name I recognized, Natalie. She was one of his private clients, a wealthy woman in her mid-30s who'd been training with him for about 8 months. She had a stunning body, a successful career, and a laugh that echoed through the studio whenever she was there. I'd never been jealous of her. She was just a client, a paying customer, an asset to our business, but the message preview read, I can't stop thinking about last night. My body still aches in all the right places. When can I see you again? My hands went cold. My stomach dropped like I'd missed a step on a staircase. I told myself it was a misunderstanding. She was talking about a workout, a particularly intense session. That was it. I clicked open the conversation. I don't know why I did it. I knew on some level what I was going to find, but I needed to see it. I needed the proof. I needed to stop making excuses for him. The messages went back months. They were explicit, playful, full of coded language that disguised their affair as fitness talk. Cardio session tonight meant something very different than what I'd thought. Core strengthening was not about abdominal muscles. Post-workout recovery was code for hotel rooms and stolen evenings. The betrayal wasn't just physical. It was intimate. They talked about me. They mocked me. He called me the accountant, a nickname that made her laugh. He told her I was good at spreadsheets but bad at life. He complained about my cooking, my clothes, my boring personality. He told her she was the only one who understood him, the only one who saw his real potential. I closed the laptop. I walked to the bathroom. I threw up. When I came back to the kitchen, the sun was setting outside our window. The apartment was quiet. I could hear the distant hum of traffic, the muffled sounds of the city going about its business. My world had ended, and the world outside didn't even notice. I didn't confront him that night. I needed to think. I needed to plan. I wasn't just heartbroken. I was furious. But the fury was cold, calculated. It sat in my chest like a block of ice. Over the next few days, I started investigating. I went through his emails, his financial records, his client files. What I found made the affair almost secondary. Natalie wasn't just his mistress. She was his business partner in a venture I knew nothing about. They were planning to open their own studio, a rival studio, using my programs, my strategies, my branding concepts, but with her money and his name, he was stealing everything I'd built and walking away. He wasn't just leaving me, he was erasing me. I sat in our home office one night, surrounded by years of my work, and I felt something shift inside me. The grief was still there, a constant ache at the back of my throat, but it was being pushed aside by something stronger, something sharper. I wasn't going to cry. I wasn't going to beg. I wasn't going to let him destroy me. I was going to fight, but not the way he expected. Not with lawyers and screaming matches and public humiliation. I was going to fight on my own terms. I was going to take back what was mine, and I was going to build something bigger, better, and entirely independent of him. I started with my body. For years, I'd designed programs for other people. I'd told them how to transform themselves. how to build strength, how to reshape their lives. But I'd never applied those principles to myself. I was always too busy, too tired, too wrapped up in supporting him. That ended now. I woke up at 5 a.m. the next morning. I put on workout clothes I'd bought on a whim years ago and never worn. I walked into the garage, which we'd converted into a small home gym, and I started moving. I followed my own program, the one I'd created for clients who wanted maximum results in minimal time. It was brutal. My muscles screamed. My lungs burned. I wanted to quit after 10 minutes. I kept going. I kept going the next day, and the next, and the next. I changed my diet. I started meal prepping, following the nutrition plans I'd written for others. I cut out sugar, processed foods, and alcohol. I drank water like it was my job. I slept 8 hours a night. No excuses. Within 2 weeks, I felt different. Within a month, I looked different. Within 3 months, I was unrecognizable. But the physical transformation was just the surface. The real change was happening beneath my skin. Every drop of sweat, every burning muscle, every early morning was a rejection of him. Every rep, every set, every mile was me reclaiming my power. I didn't tell him what I was doing. He was too busy with his secret plans, his late nights, his perfect little mistress. He barely noticed me. I was the invisible woman, the accountant, the dull, boring wife who was good at spreadsheets but bad at life. I let him underestimate me. That was part of the plan. Because while he was building a new empire with my stolen ideas, I was building something else, something he couldn't steal, something he couldn't even see coming. By the time he finally noticed my transformation, it would be too late for him. The morning I launched my platform, I stood in front of my bathroom mirror and barely recognized the woman staring back at me. She had sharp cheekbones where there used to be softness. Her arms were defined, her shoulders strong, her core tight. She moved differently, walked differently, breathed differently. She looked like someone who could handle anything. I'd been documenting my transformation from the very first day. Progress photos, video logs, detailed notes about my workouts, my meals, my energy levels. I'd recorded everything. Not for myself, I already knew what I was capable of. I recorded it for the world. For the moment I was finally ready to share it. That moment had arrived. I named my platform The Real Program. It was a deliberate choice. Damien had built his entire brand on the idea of the authentic method, a catchy title he'd come up with after I spent 3 weeks brainstorming names with him. He'd dismissed most of my suggestions, but this one stuck. He took all the credit, of course. He always did. My platform was different. It wasn't just about workouts and meal plans. It was about honesty, about ownership, about telling the truth. I launched with a single video. No flashy editing, no expensive equipment, no hired production team. Just me, standing in my garage gym, speaking directly into my phone camera. Hi, everyone. I began. My name is Vanessa. You don't know me, but you might know my work. For the past 5 years, I've been the one designing the programs, creating the content, and building the strategies for a fitness influencer you probably follow. You know him as Damien. He's my husband, or rather he was. I paused. Took a breath. I've been silent for a long time. I've let him take credit for my ideas, my labor, my late nights, and my sacrifice. I've let him build a career on my foundation while he slept with his clients and mocked me behind my back. But I'm done being silent. I walked the camera through my transformation. I showed the before photos from 4 months ago, the exhausted woman with bags under her eyes, the one who'd been so focused on supporting him that she'd forgotten to support herself. Then I showed the after, the woman I'd become, the woman I'd built. This, I said, is what my programs can do. Not his, mine. And I'm going to prove it. I spent the next hour uploading content. Workout videos with detailed explanations, meal plans with recipes, progress trackers, everything I'd ever created for him. I now offered freely on my own platform. It was a direct challenge, a transparent, undeniable comparison. The algorithm did its work. Within 3 hours, the video had thousands of views. Within 6, it was trending in fitness circles. Within 12, I had a message from Damien. He was furious. I watched his name flash across my phone screen as he called me for the first time in weeks. I let it ring. Then I let it ring again. By the 5th call, I finally answered. What the hell do you think you're doing? His voice was clipped, controlled, but I could hear the panic underneath it. Sharing my work, I said calmly. Something I should have done a long time ago. This is insane. You're trying to destroy me. I'm trying to tell the truth, I corrected. There's a difference. If the truth destroys you, that's not my fault. That's yours, he started yelling. Something about loyalty, about partnership, about how I was making a huge mistake. I let him run out of steam. Then I said very quietly, you told her I was boring. You told her I was an accountant. You told her I was bad at life. But you never told her I was the one who built your empire. You forgot that part. He went silent. I have everything, Damien, I continued. Every program, every email, every document, every timestamp. I have receipts for the hours I spent working while you were sleeping with her. I have proof. And now, so does the rest of the world. I hung up. Over the next few days, the response was overwhelming. My followers grew exponentially. People shared my story. Other trainers reached out with their own stories of exploitation and stolen credit. Women who'd been silenced, diminished, erased. I became a voice for them, but I wasn't done. I had a secret weapon, something I'd been saving for the right moment. During my investigation, I discovered something Damien didn't know I knew. He'd been using Natalie's money to fund their secret studio, but he'd also been siphoning funds from our joint business. Small amounts at first, then larger. He'd been embezzling from us to build their future. Our joint account, our shared assets, our combined credit, he'd been bleeding it dry. I had the bank statements. I had the transfers. I had the trail. I didn't go to the police. Not yet. I had a better idea. I waited until the weekend when Damien was scheduled to attend a big fitness expo in the city. He was supposed to give a keynote speech about entrepreneurship and building a brand. The irony was almost too delicious. I showed up at the expo, not as his wife. As myself, I walked into the conference hall, head high, shoulders back. I was wearing a simple black dress that fit me like a glove. Every eye in the room turned toward me, including his. I watched him freeze at the podium. His mouth opened, then closed. He was mid-sentence, talking about authenticity and vision. The projector behind him displayed his logo, his face, his carefully crafted image. I walked right down the center aisle. People parted from me like I was a celebrity. I reached the front row and stood there, arms crossed, looking directly at him. He couldn't speak. He couldn't move. A moderator rushed over to him, whispering frantically. I saw his face go pale as she explained who I was. I saw the panic in his eyes. I saw the moment he realized I wasn't going to let him get away with it. I turned to the audience. I raised my hand. "Hello, everyone," I said, my voice clear and steady. "I'm Vanessa. I'm Damien's wife, and I think you should hear what I have to say." The silence was absolute. Then slowly, a single camera turned toward me. Then another. I had their attention. I walked onto the stage without waiting for permission. The moderator stepped aside, clearly unsure what to do. Damien's security team hovered at the edges of the platform, but none of them moved to stop me. They were probably as curious as everyone else. I took the microphone from the podium. Damien reached for it instinctively, his hand brushing mine, but I pulled it away gently. "Not yet," I said, my voice carrying through the speakers. "You've had the floor for years. It's my turn." The audience was completely still. I could hear the hum of the air conditioning, the distant click of a camera shutter, someone coughing in the back row. Every eye was on me. I turned to face them. "My name is Vanessa. For 5 years, I've been the person behind Damien's success. I created his workout programs. I designed his meal plans. I wrote his blog posts, managed his social media, and built his brand from the ground up. He took all the credit, and for a long time, I let him." I looked at Damien. He was gripping the edge of the podium, his knuckles white, his jaw tight. He looked like a man watching his life collapse in slow motion. While I was working nights and weekends to support his dream, I continued. He was sleeping with his private client, Natalie. He was using our joint funds to build a secret studio with her. He was mocking me behind my back, calling me boring, calling me an accountant, calling me nothing. I paused. "Let that sink in. I have receipts," I said. "Every email, every bank statement, every text message. I've documented everything. And I'm not here to destroy him. I'm here to tell the truth." The room erupted in murmurs. People pulled out their phones, recording, live streaming, sharing. Damien's face was a mask of barely contained rage. "This is insane," he said, stepping toward me. "She's lying. She's bitter. She's trying to ruin me because I wanted a divorce." I didn't flinch. "Is that what you told her?" I asked. "That you wanted a divorce?" "Because I have messages from Natalie that say otherwise. She told you she was getting bored. She said you were too focused on the business. She said she was thinking about ending things. You begged her to stay." The audience gasped. I saw several people in the front row exchange glances. One woman shook her head slowly. Damien's face went red. "You have no right. Everything I've said is backed by evidence," I interrupted. "Every single word. And if anyone wants to verify, I'll be posting everything online tonight. The programs I created, the stolen funds, the text messages, the secret accounts, it's all there." I turned back to the audience. I didn't come here for sympathy. I came here because I deserve to be seen. I built his empire, and I'm done being invisible. I've already launched my own platform, The Real Program, where I'm sharing everything I know, not his version, mine, because I have the talent, I have the knowledge, and I have the integrity. I stepped back from the podium. "Thank you for listening." The applause started slowly. A few people in the back, then more. Then the entire hall was clapping. Some were standing, others were crying. I saw a woman in the front row reach out to touch my arm as I passed. Damien tried to grab the microphone to regain control, but the moderator had already stepped in. Security was escorting him off stage. He was shouting, his voice cracking with desperation, but no one was listening to him anymore. I walked out of the conference hall with my head held high. I could hear him screaming my name behind me, but I didn't look back. The fallout was immediate. Within hours, my video from the expo went viral. News outlets picked up the story. Fitness blogs dissected every detail. His sponsors dropped him. His followers abandoned him. The studio he'd been building with Natalie fell apart when her investors pulled out after reading my bank statements. Natalie reached out to me, begging me not to release the messages between them. She offered me money, silence, anything. I told her I wasn't interested. I wasn't doing this for revenge. I was doing it for justice. A week later, I received a letter from Damien. It was full of apologies, excuses, and promises. He said he'd made a terrible mistake. He said he still loved me. He said he'd do anything to fix it. I read the letter twice. Then I burned it in the fireplace. I filed for divorce the same week. I didn't ask for much, just what I was owed. The house we'd bought with my savings. The business accounts that had been built with my labor. The intellectual property I'd created. The judge ruled in my favor. Damien tried to fight it. He hired a lawyer, dragged things out, tried to paint me as the villain, but the evidence was too strong. The timestamps on my documents proved I'd created everything first. The bank statements proved he'd stolen from us. The text messages proved he'd been unfaithful. He lost everything. I, on the other hand, was just getting started. My platform grew faster than I'd ever imagined. I was invited to speak at conferences, write articles, collaborate with brands. I launched my own line of fitness apparel, my own cookbook, my own podcast. I built an empire of my own, not out of anger, but out of freedom. I also found a community. Women who'd been exploited, dismissed, and silenced reached out to share their stories. I created a mentorship program, offering advice and support to anyone who'd been through something similar. I didn't want to just survive. I wanted to help others thrive. Damien tried to rebuild his career. He changed his branding, his approach, even his appearance. But the stain was too deep. Every time he tried to resurface, someone would remember. Someone would share my video. Someone would tell the truth. He eventually moved to another city. I heard he was working as a lower-level trainer at a chain gym, living in a small apartment, struggling to pay his bills. I felt a flicker of pity, but it didn't last. He'd made his choices. He'd betrayed the one person who believed in him. And now he had to live with the consequences. I, on the other hand, was thriving. One morning, about a year after everything happened, I woke up in my new apartment. It was small but bright, filled with plants and natural light. I looked at myself in the mirror and smiled. The woman staring back at me wasn't angry anymore. She was proud. She was strong. She was free. I'd built myself from the ground up. I'd reclaimed my work, my name, my identity, and I'd done it without becoming bitter, without losing myself, without sacrificing my integrity. The best revenge, it turned out, wasn't just living well. It was living honestly, on my own terms. With my head held high, I didn't need to destroy him to find peace. I just needed to find myself, and I did.